Hello there guys, in this session we'll learn about matrices, what they are and how to use them. So without further ado, let's start. Now, what matrices are basically very similar with arrays. So if you know the concept of array, then matrices will be super simple. Now, what an array was, it's something like this, and then we had the elements of the array, like 1, 2, 3. Then we could, for example, print the element array or add new elements or just change the elements there. Now, what matrices are, let me define one for you. The same as an array, but it actually has arrays instead of numbers. So that might seem confusing, but if we had the same here, but instead of defining three numbers, we would actually define three other arrays there. The first one, and the second one, and the third one. Now, every one of these would have like two elements. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Let me define it here. Give me three arrays, three elements, and each element will contain two other elements. This is how you can read this one. You would just have, we need three elements. Here we need three elements, which every single one of these elements will have two other elements. So this is basically matters. We can make it like this, so it looks a little bit better. This is why we can actually call it a matrix, because linear algebra, then this is actually how you define a matrix. If we were to print it, then you do something like this. Int I equals 0, I is less than 3, I plus plus. Now, the same way here, let me first print you the elements of the array, of the normal array. And line. If we were to print it, as we see here, we get all elements here, 1 through 3. Now, if I were to print like B here, then I would actually have some random things here, which wouldn't make any sense because I'm not actually accessing a specific element there at B, because I also need to add this one here, the second square brackets. But what am I going to put here, the second one? Because there are two elements here. This is why we use another for loop, this time for the two elements that are inside, and we're going to specify as the second square brackets. J is less than 2, J plus plus. We then use J here. We don't want end line there, we just want a space there. Then we can print end line, no, end line. We build it, then run it, and as we see here, we get all the elements here. So the same way as we did with the array here, every time we would hit like an element, then we would jump to a new line. But here in matrix, in an element, we actually have multiple elements, not just one. In this case, two, but we can also have 3, 4, 5, 6, and so on. This is two-dimensional matrix. We can also have like three-dimensional matrix. We just need to define like three squares here, and every element here will be an array, which will actually store an array. It kind of gets confusing, but let me just show you. 2 here, oh, let me 3 here, 2 here, and 2 here again. So we would first have 3 big arrays here, and each array would actually have 2 other arrays. So inside each array we would actually have 2 other arrays, and each one of these arrays would actually have 2 numbers, like let me say 1, 1, 2, 1, 3, 1, 4. This is the first element here, which actually have 2 arrays. The first one and the second one, and each of this array has two elements. The same would have been done for the second element there, having two arrays, each array having two numbers like so. And the third one. So as you can see here, it actually gets kind of confusing there, and I'm starting to get confused here, and that is why we rarely use like more than two-dimensional arrays, matrices, sorry. As I said, we can go and just make as many dimensions as we want, like 4 dimensions, 5 dimensions, 6 dimensions, and so on, but it just wouldn't be practical. And as you can see here, with just 3 dimensions, things get a little bit complicated, and we have actually used like small numbers here and not like big ones. This is why you would most likely see only using the usage of two-dimensional arrays and rarely the usage of three-dimensional arrays. More than those, I don't think that you will ever see. But still, it is good to know that you can make as many dimensions as you want here. So this is everything for matrices, guys. Kind of very simple topic, to be honest. If you actually understand the idea of arrays, then matrices should be relatively simple to you. So that is everything for today, guys. See you next time.